So I'm only just back in the door really from the Realme X2 Pro launch event in Madrid here, and I do have, as you can see, a review unit. So in this video I'm going to unbox Realme's new flagship, the X2 Pro, powered by Snapdragon 855 Plus. Now because this is a lone review unit from them, it has the maximum spec naturally. So they've gone with the 12 gigabytes of RAM and the 256 gigabytes of UFS 3 storage. So in this video, it's not going to be my full review treatment, but there are a lot of questions I've seen from my first video. This video will be a proper video. I'll show you storage speeds and Antutu benchmarks, give you some feedback, also some camera samples, video samples. So yes, let's do a proper unboxing here that I will show you the box contents. So inside we have a case. They do include one. I believe it's a TPU style. Yes, it is, just like their other phones. So it's a see-through gray, and it does cover the buttons, as you can see. So fairly decent protection out of the box we get here. And this is just an information leaflet. And the phone, of course. This is the white version. And right under here, we've got our Super VOOC charger. Now this is a crazy 50 watts, and it will fully charge the phone in just 35 minutes, so that's insanely quick. Our Type-C cable, of course. Now you will notice that it does have a thicker gauge wire, and that's understandable considering the wattage that's going through this, of course. And lastly, a SIM tray tool right there. And then the X2 Pro's weight is 202 grams, so it's not the lightest phone out there. So as I pointed out in my first hands-on video, we've got Gorilla Glass front and rear on this one here. And it does feel good in hand, the curved edges, metal frame around the outside. Now the Realme logo, it's a little strange how they've put it off-centered here. I don't know why they've kind of done that. They could have just put Realme along here perhaps, but hey, I don't know. It's odd that they've done this. And then you can see dual tone LED flash right here. So the main camera, 64 megapixels. We've got an ultra wide, and we have then a 2x zoom camera. And there's one also dedicated to depth effect, that's just 2 megapixels. Now you'll see that the button here on the right, this one has an indent in it with a yellow color. It's a little bit hard to pick up on camera, but I can get my thumb to it quite easily. Now the SIM tray, I pulled it out already just to quickly show you that it does have a rubber gasket around it. It is metal reinforced, and it takes 2 nano SIMs. So sadly, no micro SD card support, which I was kind of hoping for, and I know a lot of you were as well. So we've got 4 antenna lines, apparently 4x4 antenna set up here. So there's one here, and on the left you can see the other 2 antennas and the volume up and down. Now this is made out of metal as well, those buttons, and they've got a good feel to them, no rattle. Down the bottom we have a 3.5mm headphone jack, hooray. Great that they did not drop that. Microphone, Type-C port, and then our loudspeaker. Up top, no IR transmitter. So if you needed one of those, sadly, you're out of luck with this. It's just the secondary mic. And you can see that the camera does stick out a little bit. Now I will actually measure that, and we'll take a look and see just how thick this really is, this phone. Okay, so it's about 9.1 millimeters. It's not the thinnest phone. If I count that camera, then that brings it up to 10.6, as you can see. More or less, this is just an estimate, okay? So let's take a look at the screen. So the bezels will not win any awards for being the slimmest. You can see they are not the slimmest bezels here. Their chin isn't too bad, but overall it's okay. We have a teardrop notch or water drop notch, 16 megapixel cameras in the front right there. And overall the screen is really nice, okay? This is a 6.5 inch 2400 by 1080, so Full HD plus Samsung AMOLED panel that has 1000 nits maximum brightness, and it also supports HDR10 plus, so a really good screen. Now there have been already in the comments a few questions about this, okay? So by default out of the box, of course, they're gonna set it to 90 Hertz, which is very smooth and fluid, but it will hurt your battery life, okay? Now you're able to change it just like the other phones that do have higher Hertz screens. So you can set it to 60. Now all that talk and nonsense about people saying that once you've experienced 120 Hertz or 90 Hertz screens, you can't go back to 60, that to me is rubbish, okay? Because I use 120 Hertz phones. I've gone back to my 60 Hertz Huawei P30 Pro and I don't have any issues. You notice it at first and it's really not a deal breaker. It's not such a big thing, but yes, okay, it is just so fluid and smooth. I'm in full screen gestures at the moment. So of course we are running Color OS. There's options here too as well for basically their screen dimming. I have that enabled right now. You can tweak the scaling, color modes, vivid, and of course your cooler whites, warm whites, all of that is in there. So performance of the ROM so far, very, very smooth. So this is what I was talking about, Color OS. You're either gonna love it or you're gonna hate it. The apps drawer, it's good that it's got an apps drawer. I actually am quite fond of that. Very similar to Oxygen OS. So maybe they're borrowing, I think, some optimization also from OnePlus because it is very, very smooth and fluid. Not just because it's 90 Hertz, it's just the optimization of the ROM as well is excellent. Really, really good there. No problems launching things, very fast to pop up, scrolling and everything, you notice it. You can't see it right now on camera because, of course, I'm just recording in 30 frames per second. So you have to take my word for that. So wireless speeds, really, really quick, okay? As you can see, we've got the dual band wireless. Well, actually, it's dual wireless, so you can use both the 5G and 2.4G wireless bands simultaneously to help boost speeds. So UFS 3.0 is in here, okay? Very quick, so 1400 there for sequential reads, random reads and writes, okay, really good. Camera API 2, there are a few questions about this. So we've got level 3 support, which is the best, that's what you want. So look out in the future for Google camera ports for that. Does it have Widevine level 1 cert? Yes, yay, this is great. So this means, of course, we've got Netflix and Amazon Prime Full HD, and it comes with quite a bit of bloatware. All right, so this is one of the cons. We've got Facebook on there, plenty of Google apps, Opera, and a few things that they put on the ROM that a lot of people won't really be too fond of. Runs Android 9, not Android 10. You get 237 gigabytes free on the maximum spec version, which I have my review unit here. Okay, so Antutu's just finished up and we have a really good score. This is over 400,000 and this is due to the fact that I have, remember, the 12 gigabytes of RAM, so that's going to have a big impact. So onto audio, I haven't had enough time to test out the 3.5mm headphone jack yet, but I will in my full review and call quality, okay? I'll update you on that. But loudspeakers, there's been a lot of questions. I'll give you a sample now at 100% volume and we'll see how they sound. Okay, I think more bass is coming out the bottom speaker. They sound okay. It's great to have dual loudspeakers on here. I'd have to say that I don't think the volume is the loudest definitely not the loudest I've heard. Quality-wise, I would say average. I have definitely heard better and I've also heard worse. Now, a very quick sample here of gaming. This is Call of Duty and I've got it on the highest maximum possible settings here. And the maximum frame rate, visuals, everything running super smooth as expected with that 12 gigabytes of RAM and of course the 855 plus. Let's see if I can get at least one kill here before dying. Okay, got lucky there. Oh, and about to die. Now, I have actually been gaming for a while and I've noticed that yes, the phone is getting a little bit warm on the back. That's to be expected. I will monitor temps later on. I'll game for a couple of hours straight. And of course I died just then. So that's gaming. Great performance as expected. That brings me on to then our cameras. So I'll give you a very brief run through of the stock camera app here. It's very straightforward. So here we have the ultra wide. You need to tap that for ultra wide. Now, if you're in video, then you do have the following settings here, okay? So we've got 4K. A lot of people are asking about this as well. 4K, 60 frames per second. That's there, which is good. Front-facing camera is only 1080p 30, and you also got this, which is the ultra steady mode, and I'll give you sample 2 of that. So without wasting any more time, let's jump into some video and camera samples straight from the X2 Pro. So here's a quick sample now of 4K video. This is 30 frames per second. We do have a 60 frames per second option. I'll probably give you a sample of that in my full review. So the sun's just setting here at 6 p.m. and the electronic image stabilization does seem good, but there is no optical, okay, with this sensor. But video doesn't need optical, only really for low light photography. So when I hold my hand up, you see we've got quite a bit of a crop here. The focus does seem to work well, which is good. I haven't seen any focus pulsing in and out issues that we sometimes see with some of these phones. So you can shoot video with the ultra wide camera as well, which I'm currently shooting on. As mentioned, with the main camera though, you cannot just swap over like other manufacturers allow us to. For example, Samsung and Huawei, you can swap between them, but here we can't. So you need to just make up in your mind which camera you're going to use. It does have electronic image stabilization again, and it seems to work well, but you can see some jitters as I'm walking along. So this is a sample of their ultra steady footage. Now this is 60 frames per second, 1080p with some very aggressive electronic image stabilization. Doesn't work with 4K, so I'm going to run up these stairs here. And you can see that it's quite a bit smoother than the other modes with the, for example, 4K, which doesn't look as smooth as this one here. Of course, the 60 frames per second does help. It has quite a huge crop because of this electronic image stabilization. This is a quick sample now with the front-facing camera. So we've got 1080p video, 30 frames per second, and you can see it's shaking and it's trembling a little bit. That's because electronic image stabilization, even though it's enabled, does not seem to be working. So hopefully a firmware update will add this and we'll get better quality out of this. No 4K video either with the front-facing camera. It's just the electronic image stabilization they need to fix. I think the audio quality here as well still sounds good. Alright, so you can see from those camera examples that daylight, it does take a very good picture. The video quality stabilization seems very good. Audio is very good there. Now I wanted to go into some other details, but just bear in mind, okay, that this is just a initial first impressions with this phone. I do need a lot more time with it before I post my full review, but so far there's so much to like about this phone. I mean, €399 price tag. I was actually expecting it to be about $379. The price didn't directly translate from China over to Europe, so they've added a little bit more to that. But even so, when you look at what's out there for that price here in Europe at least, that's super competitive, offering just so much. So there's so many things to like about it. The screen is very good. So 6.5 inch, 90 Hertz is going to take a toll on the battery life. I'm already seeing if you're using 90 Hertz, I've got a figure of what I'm sort of getting per hour of use, and it's looking quite high. It's looking like about 15%. It really depends on what you're doing there. So I think it's going to be about continual use, 7 to 8 hours with the 90 Hertz, maybe even less than that. And if you put it on 60, then I expect to see a lot more. So that's when it'll be a 2-day phone. Always on display is there as well. We've got NFC, 3.5mm headphone jack, no micro SD card support, that's missing. We don't have an IP rating. Really, what else? Wireless charging, no wireless charging on this. But a lot of people there's always that debate in the comments on my videos that say, why do you need wireless charging when you got such fast wired charging? I still find it convenient just to place my phone top of its wireless charging pad, go to bed, wake up with a fully charged phone. But hey, you probably don't even care about that, but the wired charging is crazy fast. So 35 minutes and you've got 100% battery. In fact, when you plug it in, you can actually just sit there and look at it slowly going up, because the accurate reading that they give you there, you can just see it going up, and it's just so quick there. The whole phone is very, very fast, as you'd expect with the top-end Android chipset that it's got in there. So gaming performance is looking very good. And it's also the ROM optimization. The 90 Hertz is helping, but okay, we've got Color OS that a lot of people don't like, but it has the apps drawer from, really, it looks like it's from Oxygen OS, very similar. And that's where you can see similarities with the optimization, because the ROM is very fluid, very responsive, and as you'd expect, of course, with that specification, but it doesn't always work out that way. Sometimes you see phones that have very high spec, but you see little stutters in the UI or little tiny lags and things. But I'm not really seeing it with this at all. In fact, I cannot see any just yet, but again, bear in mind that this is first impressions. I haven't had a long time with the phone, but it's looking super positive. I love the dual Wi-Fi feature. That means that you can really push really high speeds. It depends on what apps are going to support it and work with it though. But it's really handy to have that you can use the 2.4 gigahertz wireless band and also 5 gigahertz wireless AC. Combine both of them to, in theory, almost, well, not quite, but double your speeds. And as you saw, I was getting really impressive speeds, over 600 megabits per second here with my fiber line in the studio. So far, I think it's safe to say that this is a very, very competitive phone in the market right now. And I hate that term, but I'm going to say it, the flagship killer, yeah, okay. But it is one of the, what you could say, more budget flagships, and it offers a lot. So where is it going to fall short, I think? For me, I think the camera performance, it takes very good stills, but compared to, say, a Huawei P30 Pro night mode, the other top flagships like iPhone 11, Samsung Note 10s, I don't think it's going to be able to compete directly with those phones. And that's kind of to be expected when it's selling for half the price, but it still does take a very good photo. So I need more time with it, more time to test the battery life, more time to go over and go into detail with some other things, voice calls, audio quality, and all that. So I hope to see you back in the full review. Now, if you do have any questions, comments about the X2 Pro while I have this temporary loan unit, let me know in the comments. I might be able to help you out there with your questions. And I hope that this video answered a lot of those questions that buyers are considering. Well, does it have wideband level 1 cert? Does it support camera API? Will it work later on with Gcam ports and things like that? Hopefully that was answered for you. And thank you again for watching. Do subscribe for more videos on this and more up and coming mobile phones, as well as tablets and lots of other tech. Bye for now.